the algorithm and the settings on Instagram automatically don't show you those things. So I would urge you to go through that and make sure that your settings are in place for you to see those things happening in Palestine. Right, next I'd like to invite John Legg from Bristol Palestine Solidarity Campaign, who's going to talk about Friends of Israel within British politics. Please welcome John Legg.
Hello. So I'm going to talk to you about the local politics of some of the candidates vying for your vote on the 4th of July and their involvement in pro-Israel lobbying groups. Both main political parties have members that are in or are supporter of the Labour Friends of Israel and the Conservative Friends of Israel. A full list of these MPs can be found online. Declassified UK confirmed on the 5th of June this year that through these groups and other Israel lobbyists, Israel has funded 180 of 650 MPs in the last parliament. The Friends of Israel refuse to confirm where their funding come from, lacking any form of transparency. Out of the 5 constituencies for Bristol, 4 of the Labour candidates are members or supporters of the Labour Friends of Israel. These are Thangam Debbonaire for Bristol Central, Darren Jones for Bristol West, Karen Smith for Bristol South, and Damien Egan for Bristol North East. The Labour candidate for Bristol East is Karen McCarthy, and whilst not being in or supporting LFI, she has refused to do anything other than toe the party line. All of these candidates voted either voted or abstained no in the ceasefire in Gaza. Bristol has recently seen a change with the addition of a new constituency with borders being changed to create Bristol North East, encompassing the following areas: Eastville, Whitehall, Stapleton, Kingswood, Hillfields, Broom Hill, Staple Hill, Mangotsfield, Speedwell, New Cheltenham and Woodstock. The Labour candidate for this constituency is Damien Egan. He is married to a former IDF soldier who was part of Section 8200, Israel's elite spy arm. He follows Benjamin Netanyahu on social media as well as other far-right settlers. Damien Egan, if you didn't know, travelled to Israel in the middle of this genocide as a fact-finding mission and was funded by the LFI. Damien Egan also tweeted about the death of Bristol humanitarian aid worker James Kirby, saying that we need answers. But he did not condemn Israel, who murdered him. Do we want a government who endorses genocide? If we can't trust Labour with the ongoing slaughter of men, women and innocent children, how can we trust them with our families and our children? This is for your information only, and I encourage you to do your research regarding your vote. Let's keep Israel out of British politics. Long live Palestine, long live Gaza.
So, speaking of Thangam Debbonaire, so Thangam is the MP in my constituency, and she passed by. She was passing by a different buildings, knocking on people's doors. I walked out of my building and I saw her, and I was wearing the Palestine kufiya. She just took one look at me and then crossed the road to the other side. Didn't even think to have a conversation with me. And then she went to my neighbor, knocked on her door. She's a white British friend of mine, and my neighbor had her 9-year-old daughter with her. Okay, so she was there with her helpers. So she was like, "Oh, are you going to vote for us? Are you going to vote for Labour?" And then my friend tells her, "Yeah, you know what? I've been voting Labour all my life, and I want you to persuade me to vote for Labour. I just find it like shocking that you haven't voted for a ceasefire from day one." I said, "Oh, you know what? Well, Thangam's right here. I'm going to bring her here to talk to you." So then Thangam comes up to my friend, and she's like, "I want you to persuade me to vote for you. And why did you not vote for the ceasefire from the beginning?" And she said, "Well, because the hostage deal wasn't there, and this is why I didn't vote for a ceasefire." And she's like, "Yeah, but since then, why didn't you do anything about what's happening in Palestine? It's awful. Thousands of Palestinians are dying." And she's like, "Yeah, but what happened October 7th was really, really awful. And this is why I think, it's just a complicated issue." And she's like, "Yeah, but since October 7th, we've had coming up to 40,000 Palestinians who have died." And this, so keeping in mind that she had her 9-year-old daughter with her. And then Thangam Debbonaire then suddenly shouts at her and says, I've seen videos of Hamas raping and murdering women and children. And she loses it at her. And then my friend said, yeah, and you know what? I've seen horrific videos as well of Israeli soldiers doing horrific things to Palestinian women and children. So she's like, you clearly I can't have a conversation with you. And then she storms off. And then the lady who sat with her, the other lady who was working with Thangam, she's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then she walks off. Just so you know, this is the kind of person Thangam Debbonaire is. So next I'm going to invite Eldin Fahmy, who is the chair of Bristol Palestine Solidarity.